I'm Sophia Price. I'm 24 years old, recently graduated college in the DC area, and I am a live social contributor, aka a photographer for the NHL here in DC.
That's nice. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start my the questions I have for today. So my
Okay.
first question is, when and how did you begin your photography career?
So I would say my photography career began the fall of 2018 when I was a sophomore in college at Virginia Tech. I got a job working as a student photographer with their athletics department. There are definitely micro steps before there when I picked up my first camera and things like that. But when my career really began in sports specifically, I would say the fall of 2018 working for them.
Nice. That's nice. So it's been a while now since 2018. It's been some years.
It has. I'm not that old, but yeah, it's been.
That's good. What has supported your professional development?
So the what I would say is definitely not being afraid to ask questions and not being afraid to ask for opportunities has been easily hands down the most helpful in my career because if you ask for an opportunity, the worst you're going to get is a no. But people a lot of times appreciate you for even asking, and then they think about you in the future. And then I would say the who has been most helpful in my career is definitely my photography boss from Virginia Tech Athletics, Dave Nakel. He taught me just about all I know. And then the Capitals team photographer, John McCreary, he's been really amazing and answering all my questions and things like that. So it's just people along the way that really take you in under their wing when they know you're new to sports or professional sports and just help answer all the little questions you may have.
Nice. So based off that, what guided you towards your opportunities being a sports photographer or working for the NHL?
So I grew up playing sports my entire life, never made it to the collegiate level, but that definitely sparked my interest in working in sports one day to still feel that team mentality and energy and things like that. And then my freshman year of college, I actually lived with a bunch of lacrosse girls who became my best friends. And I would say being around them 24/7 and having a love for sports is when I first ever thought maybe a career around this could be fun. And, my freshman year of college, I just thought it'd be fun to spend more time with them. So I reached out to the athletics department, asked if they had any job openings in social media or like running a team's Instagram. And I got the photography manager who responded to me and then offered me a job. And then, so it really started out as me just wanting to be closer with my friends, doing something that I also enjoyed.
That's nice. Being closer to your friends opened other things too for you. Like you wanted to become more involved, which is nice. So that's good. Um,
Absolutely. It was a good leeway to show me what would actually bring me the most joy, which is, covering sports and taking photos of people.
right. What challenges and barriers, if any, have you encountered as a woman in this field?
So I would say I've been incredibly fortunate enough to have been surrounded by nothing but the most understanding and kind people. I will say that as a woman in sports, specifically photography, because that's only what I can speak to, is that there are a lot of times where I'm the only female in a room. I mean, again, I've been lucky where all those men that I'm surrounded by have always been nothing but amazing to me and taught me so much. But you definitely have to realize that being the only female and young female in a room, a lot of times that you're representing females, with how you act and how you do and things like that. But then one big barrier that actually does stick out to me is I know China said it when you interviewed her, but in college, at least, I wasn't allowed in the football locker room. And so, after really massive wins, the guys would go straight to the locker room to celebrate. They wouldn't even celebrate on the field. They would just, at the end of the game, they would go to the locker room to celebrate. And I was never allowed to go in the locker room as a female. So that could be hard because, again, I was maybe one of two females. And then there would be 20 to 40 support, whether it's video or news or photo males that would be allowed to go in that room, and they would get amazing content. And it just always really, stung to be left behind and not allowed to go. I mean, I could understand why you may not be allowed, but I would say that was always a big barrier.
I feel like that's like a barrier for a lot of women, like within this field. I know China said it. You've said it, so I'm sure it's like probably the same for other women. But as you said, like throughout these interviews, I've also noticed where um people are just saying, or these women are just saying, like it's been incredible. Like they actually have like a good side of it too. So that's good to hear that it's also the case for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, Tell me about a time when you doubted yourself and what motivated you to push forward in your career.
So I would say definitely all the time. There's always those little subconscious feelings of doubt. But the one that sticks out to me is when I first started with the NHL. So this past season was my first season with them. That was my first professional sports environment and gig. And my first couple of games, or even games that I don't think I really photographed all too well, that I could have done better, it was hard to be around all these seasoned professionals who have been doing this for no less than 10 years, seeing the photos that they come up with in the workroom and then editing my photos and then being like, that I see the difference between our photos and I feel like I'm not worthy of being here. I shouldn't, like, I can't believe I have this opportunity to be here. Like, I think they made a mistake, so there's always that kind of doubt. And you said, how do you push through that?
Yeah.
I would say just recognizing that you are where you are for a reason, whether that's because someone desperately needed you to fill a role or because they saw something in you that you didn't see in yourself. I think I try to remind myself of that. So anytime that I would maybe not take the best photos or miss like an angle of a moment I thought I should have captured, just remembering that, okay, I was hired by really intelligent, smart, successful people to do this role. So they saw something in me. I've done this long enough, but there's still people who have done this 10 years longer than I have. So perhaps in 10 years, I'll be where they are. But for now, like, I can't compare my journey to
Right.
them. Is it just like, time?
Nice. I like how you use the word, like I feel like the key word right there is like compare. Like
Yeah.
compare. We do that. We tend to do that a lot, but it's like what you said, like other people see something in you that maybe you didn't see in yourself. So
Yeah, so you just gotta hope that they saw correctly. But absolutely, comparison is the thief of joy, which is my favorite saying ever, because there's no reason that you should ever compare yourself to other people, especially in the creative realm, because you can't, nothing in the creative realm you can base on numbers. Like, we're not outputting numbers here to be like, oh, well, I do better than you at the, it's like, it's photos, it's videos, it's relative to what you envision in your mind that then you create into an image or a video and you push out. So it's just important to remember that everyone's going to be creating something different. No one's going to take the same photo I am. We could be in the same spot, but still editing and like just a slight angle. Like, nobody's going to do what I can do.
Um, how has your occupation evolved over time? So I know you were talking about how you would say like okay, the prior question to this, how you would say like maybe in 10 years I'll be there. So I would say like how has your occupation evolved over time since 2018?
Mm-hmm. So when I started out, I was a unpaid student photographer. So I just did it in my free time for fun. And then quickly, I would say within a year, then I was brought on as, paid help. So it was my actual job. And then I got to oversee all the other student photographers. And COVID, I would say, really changed my trajectory of my photography career, because sports stopped. And then once they picked back up, they were very particular about who could be with a team and who could be at certain events. So it was pretty much limited to my boss, and then he could bring one other person. And I was the most senior at that point, so he brought me everywhere. So I learned a lot, and my job title, like, I don't know, just increased for the better because I just got so much more experience. But that's still, college athletics, I was still a part-time, still being a student photographer at the end of the day. And then flash forward to now, I mean, I live in DC and I work for a professional league of sports. So
Nice. Yeah. It's definitely evolved, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Um, so what does a typical week look like for you? So when you are shooting, or if you wanna shorten it to a day, however you feel comfortable, but what does, shooting a game or shooting practices, what does that look like for you?
Absolutely. So I can, just for the sake of nobody wants to hear what a week is unless it's a really, fun week, we'll do a day. So if there's a hockey game at 7 p.m., you have to be at Capital One, which is the arena that I am stationed out of. Be there no later than 3:30 because the guys will start arriving at 4, but there are some early birds who like to come at 3:45, and you just never know. So you want to have been parked and walked upstairs to set your stuff down. So then you could be planted where they arrive no later than 3:45, and then they finish up arriving around 5. Um, but a lot of times the away team, so working for the NHL, I cover both teams, but since I'm stationed in the DC area, it's predominantly Capitals that I'm seeing all the time. But so away teams, a lot of times will want photos of their guys arriving. So you kind of balance it out, or, do a dance where you're doing some of the Capitals, and then you'll get a text that, oh, the away team is arriving right now, and you'll go and you'll capture them because they'll come in a group, and then you'll go back. So from 3:45 to 5 p.m. is arrival time. And then you have a bit of downtime, which you should spend editing your photos to give to the team because, they want to post live updates of the guys arriving. So you have some downtime until about 6:15, where you should get to the crash box, which is in between the benches on the ice, get set up for warmups, and then the guys come out around 6:20 for warmups, and they're out there for, gosh, like 12 minutes maybe. So not a crazy amount of time. I capture both teams' warmups because, again, I represent the NHL, so photograph both teams on the ice, edit them, and upload them before they're off the ice. So it's, a quick turnaround. And then, puck drop is at 7 or 7:05, give or take. So then after you're done editing your photos, you go to your assigned photo hole or photo spot, and then you just prop up for the first period and get going. And then games are a bit more, definitely not relaxed, because I mean, everything with sports, you got to like capture it and get it out. But you have a bit more time where you're kind of waiting for, like, big events to come, and like they score and celebrate. So then you're like, okay, now I'm uploading while keeping an eye on if something else is going to happen, because then I have to like go take photos of that. So you do that for 3 periods. And then if it's a crazy win, you get either the Capitals celebrating in their locker room or the away team on the ice hugging each other, things like that. And then after the game, edit, go back through all your photos that maybe you missed during the game, anything that stands out, edit them, upload them. And I would say by 10:30-ish, usually I am headed home for the night. And that's a game day.
That's nice. That sounds like really cool. I feel like I said that a lot to like everyone. That sounds really cool. It is really cool. So
So cool. And it's like really high paced, which, some people may not like, but that's the way that my brain works. Is if I can be like, you got to do this, you got to do this, then I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. And then after, I'm like, that was so fun. Like, I did that.
it's a nice experience, I bet.
Absolutely.
Do you have any relationships in the industry?
Yeah, so I would say I've been fortunate enough where just people that I've worked alongside have, grown to become, like, which is another one of your questions, like mentors or people that I can look up to. So, the Capitals team photographer that I already mentioned, John McCreary, he's a really great one where now I feel like he's in my corner. I can reach out and ask him anything about anything he's ever photographed, even if it's not sports, if it's portraits or something like that, and have questions answered by him. Will Navarro, he's the Rams team, the LA Rams team photographer. He's another good relationship that I have where he's always down to answer questions and things like that. And then all of the Capitals and the NHL staff in general, everyone that I've come across have just been amazing. And you just feel like they're really on your side. They want you to succeed because they want, their programs to succeed. And then, it's a good balance.
Nice. Did you want to talk a little bit more about your mentors, or like if you have any? I don't know if you want to talk
Yeah,
about.
sure. like I said earlier, I feel like I've been very fortunate enough where just about all the people I come into contact are always willing to answer questions. So I know it being my first season with the NHL and my first season in Capital One Arena, John McCreary, the Capital City photographer who, knows his way around the arena, has always been, always was, I'm sure always will be, like, very nice about, just giving me tips and tricks with like where to go or like what to do, or, oh, you did that wrong, but like, here's how you can help yourself next time or set yourself up for success. And even like questions that I think may be silly, like I've asked him before, because you're never going to know unless you ask someone, or luckily figure it out. So I would say, yeah, nothing where I have like a specific mentor who like it's their job to take me under their wing, but I would say just the people I've come across in the photo realm, they want everyone else to succeed because they're confident in knowing that there's not going to be another them. So like, what's the harm in helping out, the little guy who's like new to things?
Right. What has been your biggest accomplishment?
Biggest accomplishment, I would say, is definitely just where I'm at in my career now, because it's a place I never thought I would get. When I graduated from Virginia Tech, the pipe dream was always professional sports. And I tried for a little bit, just like looking for jobs and things like that, but it just wasn't happening. But now being able to say like, oh yeah, I take photos of professional athletes and I get paid to do it. I get paid to watch sports and be around professional athletes. Like, it's incredible and so fun, and like work in a creative field instead of like, doing anything else I would say is a huge accomplishment in my mind. And every photo that I've ever taken and been proud of, I call that, a success. So
out of like curiosity, I have a question. What when you graduated college, was hockey like the sport you wanted to photograph, or like did you not really mind about the sport? You just like wanted to get in the field?
yeah, I would say I just wanted to get in the field because, again, I grew up playing not hockey, but I grew up playing soccer, basketball, volleyball, like everything. So I'm just a lover of sports. If I had to have chosen specifically NFL or professional soccer, MLS, or, women's soccer was always will be like the pipe dream to like end up in one day. But sports in general, I was just like, I want to work in sports. I want to try it out, professional sports. So
Nice. So this kind of leads to like the next question. What do you hope to achieve in the future?
definitely photographing the NFL, MLS, and if I could reach for the stars, like Premier League soccer, like soccer abroad would just be unreal for me, because I grew up mainly playing soccer my entire life. So I think that's what I think about. But if not, if I only ever photographed for the NHL, I would be a happy camper.
Right. The Premier League though does sound pretty interesting.
Right? It just
Yeah, it
sports.
does.
Oh gosh, it would just be so much fun. So
Uh,
maybe one.
yeah, maybe one day, of course. What does success mean to you?
Success to me means being somewhere or creating something or doing something that you are proud of and know that it took some level of sacrifice or hard work to get there, which is like the most vague, long-winded answer of just saying earlier how like if I take a photo that I'm really proud of, capturing, a crazy win or something like that, like that's success to me, because I know like all I went through to be in that spot at that game, like set myself up for success, to be there and like take a photo and then people plaster it everywhere, and then being like, nice, I did that. Like I captured that and people love it and all that stuff. And I'm proud of it. I mean, even if other people aren't proud of it, like that's something that I'm proud of creating.
Nice. So this is my last question. What advice do you have for aspiring women in sports photography?
Definitely, hands down, don't be afraid to ask questions for help or for opportunities. I would say if I had to credit one of those things, it'd be asking for opportunities that got me to where I am today. I got my job with the NHL basically off of networking. Like they were looking for someone, a second photographer to help out in this arena. And they actually reached out to me because they had heard my name from someone else that they trusted. And how did I get there? It's because I asked for opportunities, got this one opportunity, and then they thought of me highly so that when somebody else needed someone, they got my name, from this person. So I would say a lot of times, young people, I'm sure in general, but definitely women, sometimes we don't want to ask for help because we don't want to come across like we're stupid or we don't know what we're doing. But you just need to know that like there's nothing wrong with asking for help if you genuinely want to like build off of that and learn something. So even if someone's going to judge you for asking a silly question, then they can judge away because that silly little answer that they just gave you is going to help you learn something that you didn't know. And how can you like step up in life or learn more if you're not asking questions, So always ask questions, always ask for opportunities. The worst you're going to get is a no. And like everybody needs to hear that kind of a no a million times in their creative career before they get something so cool.
Right. Well, thank you. Thank you for your advice, for your words. That was it on my part. I don't know if you want to add to anything or I don't know if you have any questions for me.
No, I
But
think go women in sports.
yes. Thank you, Sophia. I appreciate you being here.
Of course. Thank you so, so much.